Backing off because of that. He's backing off because of points for the championship.
Fittipaldi is 6 seconds behind Paul Tracy. Here is the battle that continues between Ray Hall, Al Unser Jr., and Danny Sullivan. Sullivan in third. The fight is for third, fourth, and fifth.
Now, keep in mind, there's little Al behind Bobby Ray Hall. Keep in mind, pit stops are over. No more pit stops. Whatever they have for tires, that's what they'll finish with. So the guys are all weighing out everything with the other guy on do they have something left, or are they going to have to sit where they are.
Of course, on this circuit, so tight, so narrow, and yet so very fast, the slower traffic can definitely figure into the finish of this race.
Tires are one of the biggest problems as far as the handling goes. When the rubber goes down on the tires, when it gets close to the cord, they don't stick as well. So passing becomes a whole lot harder.
Paul Tracy with Kevin Kogan and Hiro Matsushita behind him. And here comes Fittipaldi. Johnny Unser in there, too. How does Johnny Unser fit into the Unser family, Bobby?
Well, Johnny is my brother Jerry, the one that was killed in Indianapolis many years ago. This is his youngest son, who's decided to make a career out of automobile racing. And by golly, he's looking pretty good today. He's found a sponsorship with the Ruger Firearms Company. And believe it or not, Bill Ruger himself came here to watch the race today.
He shot one of the biggest antelopes in history, has a high standing in the Boone Crockett book. Quite a hunter and an outdoorsman like a lot of you Unsers, right, Bobby?
Yes, he certainly is. And he lives in Idaho, not New Mexico.
Well, Paul Tracy at the front. His teammate Fittipaldi in second place is now beginning to close on Tracy. He was 6 seconds behind just 2 laps ago. Now he has closed to 4 seconds behind the leader of the race, the number 12 car of Paul Tracy. The crowd definitely anticipating a win here. Paul Tracy has been cheered by this crowd throughout the weekend, as have the other Canadians, Ross Bentley and Scott Goodyear.
The blue and white car that you're seeing there, of course, Kevin Kogan having an exceptional run for a man in great pain. I talked to Kevin. He's having a big plate taken out of his leg very prematurely, much earlier than he had planned to, because he finds he just can't drive with it in there without having to suffer through enormous pain.
Sam, didn't you tell me the other day that the plate just doesn't bend with the sides of the car inside, and that's just blocking the blood or something in his leg?
Right. He has to drive by plan. He can't drive by reflex. He has to say, by this point in the track, I'm going to have the throttle wide open. Not good.
So on board, fourth place, Bobby Rahal, Danny Sullivan in front. And what is shaping up for a good battle at the front of the field as Willie T. Ribbs gets over, brushes the wall, and climbs out of the car.
He'd been running 16th.
That should be far enough off the line that here at lap 95, they will not go to a full course yellow to get that car cleared. So 94 laps are complete. We'll be back for the finish. Ribbs car right where it is since it's not in danger. So here's the way they line up, and you'll notice that in traffic, Emerson Fittipaldi has fallen back by nearly 3 seconds. He was up much closer to Paul Tracy. 97 laps are complete. The entire front of the field is now beginning to close in on one another, and Danny Sullivan and Bobby Rahal have been battling close to one another and should be in contact for competition shortly. There's Willie T. Ribbs' situation that got him into the wall with the left front of the car. He is okay and out of the car. They will go yellow flag in that area of the race course only.
As we watch Paul Tracy leading this race, one can't forget it was a couple of years ago that he came on board the Penske organization ostensibly as a test driver. Now he is really bearing the fruits of some of the testing and the work that he did through months and months of thankless operating down at Nazareth in the cold weather and so on. Because at that point, the Penske cars were as difficult to set up as the Lolas are today. Today, they are very easy to get set up at each track. We spoke of that and how temperamental the Lolas have become. And a lot of the credit goes to the man you see right there in the center of the screen, Paul Tracy.
Paul Tracy, the Canadian, his hometown crowd now anticipating a possible win by the young Canadian and beginning to come to their feet, but Emerson Fittipaldi still trying to remain in contact, though he's fallen another 2/10 behind Paul Tracy, now at 5.57 seconds behind. Then Danny Sullivan is 16 seconds behind Paul Tracy. You can see, though, as the rubber builds up in many of these corners, the line itself is much narrower. They don't have nearly the opportunity to pull offline in competition that they had in the early going.
all the rubber comes off the tires. All the pavement comes a little bit loose, and all ends up on the outside of the groove, Paul, like you were saying. If they get out there, it gets too slippery.
And here is the only fight that's really in contact on the race course. Danny Sullivan in third, just ahead of Bobby Rahal. There you see him, that blue number 7 car. Rahal, the gold and black car. And then Al Unser Jr. is in fifth, just behind him. This is the big fight on the circuit. It is led by Danny Sullivan at the moment.
Rahal has been fourth twice and fifth once since taking over the operation of the Lola instead of the Rahal Hogan car. So this is another strong performance as he runs fourth right at this moment. But of course he's in that sandwich, a very volatile situation.
Bobby Rahal letting Danny Sullivan definitely know that he is there at the one critical passing point on the circuit. Danny Sullivan with slower traffic just ahead. Back at the front of the field, it's still Paul Tracy. Team Penske has led in every race thus far this season, and Emerson Fittipaldi has led 49 laps in this race. In order to take the 1 point for leading the most laps, he would need to complete 3 more laps at the front of the field, and we've just crossed the 100th lap. So it looks like the point will definitely go to Paul Tracy.
You know, as the cars crowd in, you realize that the only place that they can do any passing is right braking. Look at Mario coming down, trying to get under Danny right there. That's where you can do the passing, but the tires are all pretty much worn out right now. The track is slippery out of the groove, so we want to watch really careful. We may see some action pretty quick here. Only about 2 or 3 laps left.
Not to confuse that battle with Danny Sullivan. That was Mario moving inside Hiro Matsushita. Sullivan still locked in battle between Bobby Rahal and Al Unser Jr.
And just remember that if Paul Tracy holds on to win, this will be the first time this race has been won by a Canadian. So the crowd is on its feet and very excited in the prospect.
Paul Tracy, remember, though, has been chased by bad luck throughout his career with Penske Racing. Not to wish any of that on him now, because he runs so solidly alone in the lead. But mistakes have cost him dearly despite all of the laps he has led this season.
This is a race that he has had in his mind. He's been imaging this race for months now, he spoke even right as he had won at Cleveland a week ago. His mind was already shifted forward to this race, and with just 2 laps to go, as you can see, I think he has a darn good chance of hanging on.
Such a very important run to Paul Tracy, who yesterday in the qualifying thought that he had. Sullivan reaches up and pulls a tear-off away, right, Bobby?
Yes, he certainly was. And look how close they are. They really get it. They're really going to try some pass. And look at Rahal all over Danny Sullivan there.
I'm going to say that Paul Tracy thought he had the pole wrapped up, but Emerson Fittipaldi grabbed it at the very last lap of qualifying. But now we ride with this battle as Danny Sullivan in third place and Bobby Rahal sensing the end of the race himself and trying to do everything he can to get around Sullivan. As the white flag, 1 more lap to go, will be displayed to Paul Tracy as he flashes over the start-finish line alongside of Teo Fabi.
And as we watch the cars that are remaining try to do the passing, remember there is no more blocking allowed. Wally Dallenbach is watching them. That's like a policeman watching a speeder.
So Paul Tracy runs alone, unchallenged at the lead of the race. He has only to coast it home.
And if he had pain from his throat early in the game, I bet he's not feeling it right now.
Fittipaldi in second place. That battle that you see between Mario Andretti and Teo Fabi is not a battle for position. They're just running together on the circuit.
Remember, this is exactly the finishing order that we experienced last week in Cleveland. The Penske cars running 1-2. Incredible domination here in the center part of the season.
And it looks like Paul Tracy may in fact get several major accomplishments behind him. His 3rd win, 2 in a row, and a Canadian winning for the first time in the Indy cars in front of his home crowd. Paul Tracy has taken the win here in the Molson Indy Toronto. So Paul Tracy, the victor here today. Emerson Fittipaldi screams for the line now in second place. He is unchallenged. The real question is the battle that will come behind him. Danny Sullivan, as he drives for the line with Bobby Rahal coming up behind him, but Danny Sullivan is able to hold Rahal off, and Sullivan finishes 3rd, followed by Rahal and Al Unser Jr. But the day here in Toronto belongs to the hometown boy, Paul Tracy. He rules and others follow. They've held that sign for a long time. Congratulations to Paul Tracy. We'll be right back to talk to him. incredibly popular victory as Canadian Paul Tracy takes the win and Penske finishes 1-2. Here's Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, congratulations. First Canadian to win in the hometown of Toronto.
I tell you, it's a great day for Canada, and I can't be more happy for myself and my family and the whole team to come up here into my hometown and to win and have Emerson and myself on the front row. It's just a great day.
What about the performance of this car? It looks as if it's really beginning to come together with your performance as well at the midway in the season.
Well, I think so. I think the car's coming together really good, but I wouldn't count out any other team. Sullivan, he was inspired right there throughout the whole race. And Emerson, he was on it, and I thought for a while I wasn't going to be able to catch him, but I was able to haul him down and able to get by him in lap traffic again. But just a great day. I couldn't be happier to get 2 wins in a row and to win here in my hometown. It's just great.
Well, let's check in with Gary Gerould.
Well, here's Emerson Fittipaldi, and Emerson, quickly, the big news for you is the fact that with Nigel Mansell going out at the midpoint of the race, you now have a 3-point lead in the championship's point battle. That's got to be reason for a big smile.
Well, I'm very pleased, Gary. I was running very strong, and then the last segment of the race I was missing gears, and I had to slow down a lot. I just managed to finish second. I'm very pleased, and my teammate made a beautiful job.
Is it tough to sacrifice a chance to win when you get a chance now to lead the points?
Well, I was trying to go for the win, but then when I started missing gears, I had to slow down. But I'm very pleased to be leading the championship now.
Terrific job. Jack?
Let's check in with Danny Sullivan, getting awfully racy, but let's talk about that black flag. It came close, but you didn't get it this time.
Well, I didn't know what that was. He kind of held it out there, and I thought, wait a minute, I didn't go anywhere near the speed limit. But they didn't have it on the backside, so it was okay. But I lost my tires right before the last stop, and that cost us a chance at running with those guys the rest of the way.
Paul, close is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades.
So Paul Tracy takes the win, and Jack Arute takes the trite line of the day. Paul Tracy out in front, good finish, followed by his Penske teammate Emerson Fittipaldi as we look down through the entire unofficial final results of this field with Johnny Unser, the last car, actually running at the finish. All of these cars were disabled and out of the race, and most notably there, of course, Nigel Mansell. Now, what does all of this do to the PPG points? Well, it puts Emerson Fittipaldi in front, and Paul Tracy moves up into 4th place, and Tracy is within striking distance of the lead in the points at the next race as we look through the rest of the point standings, rounded out by Jimmy Vasser.
Well, as Emerson Fittipaldi is fully aware, Nigel Mansell focused worldwide attention on this series, and now Emerson is the one that is poised to take advantage of the glory.
And without all the yellow flags today, we would have had a fuel problem with the car, but without that, we had a super good race. And congratulations to Tracy.
And Tracy rules. Next, the Indy cars move back to an oval at Michigan International Speedway. We'll see you there in 2 weeks. I'm Paul Page for Sam Posey and Bobby Unser. So long from Toronto.